let's get started. Again, Chuck Roscoe with Cyber. I've been with Cyber for 24, 25 years. When we do these like new versions or new mod level webinars, we try to be very specific about just what's new in the new version, which is what we're going to do. But just to give a quick overview of what MarkMagic is, maybe for some new folks here on the line. MarkMagic comes kind of in two flavors or two editions. There's MarkMagic AS400 or I series that's written in all RPG and COBOL. It's been around for 26 years. A lot of you folks on the line have that. And there's also another one called MarkMagic PI, PI standing for Platform Independent. That happens to be written 100% in Java and can run on any platform. That's been around for 10 years. And we got tons of customers, using both types of the product. Then there's this thing called JMagic. JMagic is our WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get, or GUI tool. And JMagic you install on your PC, and it connects to the MarkMagic instance, the MarkMagic server. And that MarkMagic server can be run on AS400, it can be run in at MarkMagic PI up in the cloud, on a Windows box, AIX, it doesn't matter. So the same, that JMagic, which Ken is going to be using most of the time during the demo today, that same JMagic is used no matter what type of MarkMagic you have, okay? So it connects to that. We're going to go over some of the new features in 9.5. Most of them are in both MarkMagic AS400 and MarkMagic PI, but some of them are obviously on just one platform, and we'll make sure you're aware of that. MarkMagic supports over 450 different printers out there, so that's a big deal for us. And obviously this whole JMagic interface makes it really easy to maintain. And we've actually added some new printers to MarkMagic starting in 9.5. And 9.5 is available right now on our website. You can download it. You guys have annual support. It's all free to you guys. Anything we're talking about today, new features and functions, it's all free for you guys. And you can upgrade whenever you like. And you can skip over version 9.0 or even version 9.1 if you're on MMPI. So you can go from a version 8 right to version 9.5 if you want. But all that's in the install guides, again, all on the website. So I'm going to go through a few slides here, just giving a quick overview of the different topics, and then I'm going to hand over to Ken, and he's going to show you these things in more detail. And again, feel free to ask questions as they come up. First, color label printing. Whoever thunk it? Whoever thought this could happen? So we've all seen these black and white thermal printers, all these years, the Zebras, the Monarchs, the Datamax. Epson came out with what they call ColorWorks a few years back, but the most recent version of that is the 7500 model, which is what we're showing here. And it's actually inkjet, but you wouldn't know it when you print. I mean, it prints super fast, over 600 DPI quality, and it's all the colors of the rainbow. And they made it super efficient as far as the amount of ink that's used for each label. So what we did here at MarkMagic on both MarkMagic AS400 and MarkMagic PI is we wrote native Epson driver code. So we support this printer at its optimal speed, including all the colored lines and boxes and graphics and all that stuff. So if that's something you're interested in, probably something you probably never even thought of because it was never available, give us a ring. We'd be happy to talk more about it and show you some examples and a demo. So color label printing. It could be ticket printing. It goes up to 4 inches wide. It's really neat. So we're going to talk. Ken's going to show a little bit about that and like what's new in our drivers within MarkMagic and JMagic to help support the Epson printer. But again, all free to you guys. The next item, probably another thing's like, well, okay, so MarkMagic can make shapes and curves and different types of lines. We could always do this type of stuff, like an oval, red oval, as a graphic field. So you could do that since the beginning of time. But again, we're all about the native printer code. So we've actually added native printer support for these different types of shapes. So it's super optimized, super fast for laser printers, for Zebra and Datamax, even that Epson color printer I just showed you. You can, we have this whole new field type that you can make these different types of shapes, even slanted lines. I know you've all been dying to make slanted lines. You can do that now. So that's another feature in 9.5. What's next? The PDF option. So as you all know, MarkMagic does all this printing. We also have different add-on options or different features within it. Most of you actually have the PDF option already. So these new features, again, no charge to you guys. First one being an editable text field. So we've all received like PDFs from friends or customers or the government, and you got to fill out a form, and you can open up the PDF in Adobe and actually just type in your name and all that stuff. So MarkMagic 9.5 supports that. You can actually create editable text fields. So when the PDF is generated by MarkMagic and you send it to whoever, they can open it up and actually type in whatever they like into those fields. Ken's going to show you how that works. And also URL linking. So basically websites, that type of thing, to images, barcodes, and text. So the best example of that is like, heck, you get this PDF from Cybera, you click on our company logo, it goes to our website, right? We've supported that more or less for a real long time, but it was always kind of, we always kind of faked it out by putting a bunch of little white text fields around the graphic that had www.cybera.com. Starting at 9.5, you don't have to do these little shortcuts. You can actually make the field smart itself, so that whole graphic field will kind of be will have that link as part of it. So when the PDF's generated, you just click on it and so on. And the same thing for barcodes and text fields. So text fields would be pretty cool for like an invoice, statement, or anything like that, where you can actually look at variable data at print time and have the words "click here," for more information. And the click here can be smart, can go right to a URL link to maybe some promotion you're running and stuff like that. Again, it's all part of the product. Almost done. MarkMagic 9.5. All right, so here's a little separation here. The Toshiba Tech driver, or Tech 2, we have supported in MarkMagic AS400 for 20 plus years. We've added support for Tech starting in MarkMagic PI, so the Java side of things is starting in 9.5. So we wrote a native driver for the Tech printer. Great line of printers. Yeah, it's all native support, super fast. This is one of their newer models, the SX4, RFID and all that. Another one, and this is kind of interesting, we kind of get excited here at Cybera when we see new printers and new things we can do that that we haven't seen in the last 20 years. This Autobagger. Have any of you guys seen one of these before? They've been around for a while, but they were kind of new to me. MarkMagic actually supports this device. So actually, you put in bags, and it actually prints on the bag itself. That's not a label on the bag. That's actually just printing on the bag itself. And it has a little air puffer thing, so the bag opens up and you can put something in it, and then this bar comes shut and actually seals it. I think it's ultrasonic. It seals the bag shut. So it's great for a lot of our accounts are using like e-commerce, and they're shipping onesie, twosies types things in small bags. It's a great option. And again, a lot of accounts don't realize that MarkMagic supports this, but we do. In fact, I have a little video of it here. You can see it in action. Ready? There it is. It's puffer. That's a pop socket. Hits the bar and down it goes. Let's see it one more time. I could freeze frame it. This is good stuff. The MarkMagic printed on this bag. So this printing right here, it's a little blurry, printed on that. More importantly, there's the pop socket. There's the pop socket right there. Everybody wants one of those. Anyway, so there it is in action. We support this type of device, so keep that in mind down the road. And the final thing, and I'll turn it over to Ken in just a second, is print queuing. This is another specific thing for MarkMagic PI, and even for you folks using MarkMagic on the AS400, please stay on and just kind of listen and learn to what Ken has to say towards the end regarding MarkMagic PI print queue, because it's very important. If down the road you decide to switch maybe from the I series, the AS400, over to an open systems or up in the cloud, and you start using MarkMagic PI. On the AS400 world, we're all used to print spooling and queues. It's all built into the operating system. On all these other systems, we didn't want to rely on like a Windows spooler or anything like that, because then we're platform dependent, not independent. So what we did in MarkMagic PI 9.5 is we wrote our own print queuing. So it's totally independent of any operating system, can run anywhere. It's really neat. So there's lots of features and functions in there, so keep that in mind. And I'm almost done. Well, I'll talk quickly about what's coming up in the next versions of MarkMagic once Ken is done, and then we'll get into questions and all that good stuff. So let me turn it over to Ken. He will tell you more specifically about these different items. And feel free to ask your questions. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. Okay, I'm showing my screen now. I'm showing the JMagic login, and I'm going to use JMagic for the rest of this demo. I'm not going to be jumping on any AS400 green screen or anything like that, because pretty much everything I can show is I can do in here. And I'm going to connect to my AS400 though. but like Chuck mentioned before, I can use this same JMagic if I wanted to connect to MMPI, the platform independent version up on the cloud or wherever, if I've got it hosted at my site, the hosted version of MarkMagic. So I'm just signing on to my AS400 though right now with JMagic here, and I'm gonna jump into one of my user libraries that I have a bunch of sample formats in called Webinar. Maximize this for you. The first thing I want to show you is that new Epson driver. It's called EPC 7500G.
It's an easy one to remember.
EPC 7500G.
Yeah.
I'm going to open up one of these. It's actually a new label that we've got from one of our customers. They deal with doors, and they've been wanting to print much better images for their door labels for the longest time, and they finally can do that now with MarkMagic. And this is actually just a PNG image. So that's one of the new features that have been added to MarkMagic, along with this support for the Epson driver, is we had to add support for PNG processing images. It's a totally different graphic type, JPEG or GIF image. We now support uploading PNG and then converting to any of the other printer types, but specifically for this one, there's a whole new graphic type for the Epson driver we called it ePNG, Epson PNG support. But this is a long door label, bunch of other information on here, but at the top is the PNG converted graphic. Very neat stuff. So I've got another label here designed under the EPC 7500G driver. And I was just going to show uploading one of the PNG images. There's that pop socket again. Give us a call if you want one. We've got a couple here. They're awesome. Never drop your phone. I've got a graphic right on my desktop. It's the Cyber logo, but it's PNG. So just to show you, and I'm not lying that we support PNGs now. I can load the guy up. Cyber PNG. Bring it up. So what we're doing here is using the same graphic converter now, but you can see in JMagic 9.5 we've got the Epson choice. I'm going to say it's a photo because I'm uploading a high quality image now. No more of this black and white stuff. We're dealing with good color now, good stuff. So I'm going to convert this guy, and it's going to get converted to ePNG now for the Epson driver. So the last thing I need to do is just drop it on here like a normal graphic. Oh, you know what? I made it way too big. So it's going to yell at me when I hit OK, saying, hey, it's off the edge of the label there. So got the checks in there, checks and balances, so you can't mess up the label. But if I could, I'd go back in and drop it on there. Let me just cancel this guy. I'll drop it on in a different spot. And then we can do the
everything.
Yeah. Yes. You can't mess up in MarkMagic. Then I'll just resize this guy down. Just move it up there. So, and now when I save it, it'll save a whole new graphic with the correct size. So thank you, JMagic, for correcting me there. And then the rest of this label here is showing some other examples of the different colors available. This one's got some lighter blue on it. It's got the FedEx. This is actually just text field down here, except it's set to blue. So you weren't able to use those colors before on label printers. And if the rest of it looks familiar, like Zebra driver, it's really neat. What they've done is they've actually taken the bulk of their driver is a lot of the Zebra code support. So if you've already got a bunch of Zebra labels that you've already been printing for a while and you want to support the new Epson printer, copying these labels over to Epson, it's going to be seamless. And it's going to be basically just a good chunk of the Zebra driver, but we've added a lot of the extra Epson color support intertwined into the Zebra code.
And that is an awesome point, Ken. So this is going to talk about the path of least resistance. If you have a requirement, if you want to check out any of this Epson color printing, all you got to do is get the printer and connect it to your server. I mean, all the programming and all that stuff, it's already done. So the Zebra labels you already have, if you happen to have some, copy them to Epson, open them up as Epson. You can add some color to it, print them out.
Oh yeah.
off you go. So it is really simple.
Awesome stuff. Yes, thanks. I'm gonna close this guy down. So the next thing that we're gonna talk about is the new additions to the PDF option and the editable text fields and the URL support. Plus this form here, I've added another one of our extra features in version 9.5, which is the rounded corner or rounded edges of the lines. And if I just double click on one of these, this is actual line field right now. It's not a box. Maybe if you're used to making these forms and you wanted that shaded background, you might have made a box before and filled it in. But this time, to take advantage of the new rounded corner lines, made a really thick line down here. So it's 200 here. You can go up to like a couple inch thick lines and get a real rounded corner. But this here, and these three lines here, they're using the new rounded edges. You could get into the line settings and change the style to the triangle lens. You can see there's triangle lens. So along with the normal square end, you can do round and triangle. So that's a quick example showing the new line tip options. And that's on the PCL driver. But for the PDF piece, let me minimize this and show you PDF that I've got created here on my desktop. And there's those lines. It's all supported in the PDF too. If it doesn't matter if you're printing these or PDFing them, you're going to get what you see there. These fields here, these are editable. So that's what we mean by the editable text fields. You can type in your phone number and any of the other information here, and then what you can do is save that and send it back to whoever, mail it back to wherever, and with the information filled in. So all these blue boxes here are the editable text fields. And the other option here is the logo up in the top corner. You can see if I just hover over any piece of the graphic, now it's clickable. And you can see I've just got a generic company website.com. And I'll show you how that's been added now. If I jump back into JMagic, minimize this guy, bring it back. So here's these editable text fields. And right off the bat, they probably just look to you just like regular heading fields, and that's because they are regular start heading fields. And the description is really just a description at this point, because at the bottom here, I've got the usage picked here. So normally there's no usage. And for editable text fields, there are two new usages in MarkMagic, and that's how you kind of turn on the feature. It's pretty simple. You just choose editable field or editable field with a prompt. And if you noticed on the PDF before, those were just plain old blue boxes that didn't really have any, sample info in there to kind of hint at what it really wanted. So that's what the prompt is. So if I had the usage of EP, it would just, when I open the PDF, it would have this client's name in there as sort of just like a prompt. But since it's just EF here, usage editable field, it's going to show up blank. So, and this length here is going to be the length of the editable portion. So all of these guys were set to usage EF and can be editable when sent to PDF. So this logo up here for the URL, let me open up the field list here because I'll need that in a moment, and I'll show you a data field. It's a non-printable field. It sits off there on the sideline, ready to be used in some fashion, but I've got a static data field with some information in it, and it's going to be my company webpage. So this graphic field here, if I double click it, there's a new option at the bottom. The graphic's not any different than before. If you're used to putting logos on your forms, that's the same way. Star heading image, easy. But there's a new option here at the bottom, enable PDF encoding. If you just check that off, there's a whole new tab that will pop up. Very similar to Starlink. In fact, it's pretty much exactly the same as Starlink. When you go to this new tab, just find that data field with your URL in it and move it over to the right. And that's it. So now the URL is part of the graphic. It's
embedded in there. Yeah.
So when you make a PDF, that will become a clickable image up there. And it's not just images. I can put it on anything, a text field, PDF encoding. If there were barcodes, you can have barcodes be URLs if you want. And text field barcodes and logos.
And you can combine like multiple fields to make that URL link if you wanted to, right? Like you could.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't even have to be static. You could have variable data coming in with like a SKU number for some items of yours, and then you can have add the URL link to a text field, like I was saying earlier, like click here for latest specials or something like that, and it could be totally
like that,
dynamic. Yeah.
That pop socket on the other
Yeah,
format there. That could be
yep.
You can have a dynamic URL, and you click on that, you can go to the order page for one.
Right. Prices are going up for those.
Get your order in fast.
Yeah, right.
So close this guy down. So that's the new PDF options, the editable text fields, URLs, and then we showed you the new rounded lines and triangle lines on that one. Close this down here. So the next form, it's a really cool form. I made the form this morning because I wanted to show off the new shapes in MarkMagic, and we call them other fields because we couldn't think of anything better. No, I'm just kidding. But there's a whole new menu up here in JMagic that allows you to create circles, arcs, ovals, and you can see here these aren't images. These are, you can scale these, move these around. Each one of these pie pieces in here is an individual arc field that I've drawn on. You can see if you can get into them on the left here in the list, called other fields. This is a 60-degree arc with all the placement and positioning and shading and the color thickness to fill it in there. So I've made a pie chart here showing off all the cool new features in MarkMagic using these new shapes. These are just static printing right now, but I mean, think of the possibilities here. You can create maybe a bunch of different arcs and then use our print transformer option to toggle some on and off to build a different sized pie chart based on data. And then even change the color too. So lots of different options there, but I can't wait to see what you guys do with these new shapes and circles and colors and different shading. And it's a really neat add-on to and this is on the PCL driver, HP PCL 5C. Another thing to show here is the diagonal lines. These fields here, these are just diagonal lines. I mean, you haven't been able to do those yet. So new version 9.5, new diagonal lines. That's just a regular black line. You can set those to individual colors, and you can also have the end caps on too, but these are too small to see them.
Just when you thought lines were boring, look at what we do in 9.5.
Yeah, so shapes, arcs, oval, there's a new button up here. For zebra, we've added the ability to do circles and ovals, and let me show you a simple, and I know everything we've been doing so far has been all this color stuff. Do I need the new Epson driver to be able to do all this shapes and stuff? I don't want you to think that you have to get the new Epson printer to do shapes or anything like that. I've got a simple little zebra label here using ZTS 300 driver that's been in MarkMagic since version 1, I think. Prod label. We've added the ability to do shapes even on these basic drivers. It'll be black and white though, but you can add in something like huge sale and change the font to white, and let me make this guy font 51 and set the size a little bit bigger maybe. And then you can draw up here, oval, drag it around there, drop it on there, change the thickness to something like 300 to fill it in, and there's my new shelf label there for this product. But if you do get the Epson printer, and maybe your company does those, look for the colored dots, and you can add in new colored dots to the printers. I'll show adding a circle. So red dot sale. Oops, I made one too tiny. Because you actually have to drag it. You click circle, and then you drag, and then that's where the circle will be. And then I can say, make it red.
Yep.
So now There's the big red dot sale. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, circles, arcs, ovals, it's called the new other field. And it's accessible here at the top. And
Yep.
we've also added it to
And
the
circle and oval, right? Because arc is grayed out because the zebra driver that you're in, again, because we're so smart, the JMagic looks like, okay, arc is not supported by zebra, but circle and ovals are, so we let you know.
Yep, and we've also added it to the Datamax driver too. So if you have a Datamax printer, look for the new circles and ovals there. All right, so that's for in the JMagic piece. Let me jump over to a new feature that I love in our MarkMagic TI platform independent piece. And I'm going to a web browser here, and you're probably thinking, what the heck is he doing here? I'm logging into a version of MarkMagic that runs in the cloud.
So this is MarkMagic PI in this case. And I think it's
MarkMagic PI. Yeah, so we're running it on the cloud.
Yep.
And this is, if anyone's familiar with AS400 MarkMagic, if I do Start MarkMag, you can think of it like this is the main menu for MarkMagic and MMPI, where here's where you set more of the admin stuff, like creating a printer, creating new users, checking the logs, adding the licensing. The way you interact with MMPI is through our API calls, through servlet calls. It's all hosted via a web page, and that's where I'm at right now. So,
and also, I was just going to throw in there JMagic. If you wanted to connect to JMagic to this instance, you would, instead of putting the IP address for the AS400 like you did earlier, you'd just put in the IP address right there, 52. Yep, and it would connect to this MarkMagic PI instance, and you can make and change formats and all that stuff. The same interface. Yep.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk about print queuing though. We're only going to talk about print queuing, not all the other stuff. We can't get distracted.
No, I know. This MMPI is so cool. I can do a whole webinar just on that. And I think we have done it though, so check it out. So I'm creating a new printer here, and this is where you add in. You tell MarkMagic, hey, this is what printer I have. These are where their IPs are, what model they are, whether or not they're laser printer or zebra. And when you create these printers now, excuse me, for a while it's just been this basic stuff, IP address and port. But now we've added print queuing to MMPI because before, if you were to print, we would just send the data to the IP address and that was it. And if the printer was offline, we wouldn't know about it and your print was gone. So we worked hard and along came print queuing. So now MarkMagic will be able to tell if a printer is offline. It'll hold the information for a certain, this is all configurable too. So you can say, if there's an issue, try again in a minute. You can toggle each printer individually if you want to even be part of this whole print queuing, yes or no. And then there's also the option to save successful print jobs and how long to keep them for, how long to wait for before they're deleted, if even they should be deleted. So that's all configurable by a number of days, and that's per printer. So if you go back to this maintain printer setting, you can see some of them are set. Oh, I want this one to be 7. I don't want this one to save it all. This one only 15 minutes between checks, but this one's more important, only 1 minute. And along with this is actually the whole interface and GUI for managing the print queue and viewing it. So if we go to our print menu, print queue, you can see this print queue option here is just basically everything from every job, every printer. And if things were moving along, I mean, no one's using this right now, but if things are printing and you had this refresh on, you'd see jobs coming through and going. But right now, I've run a few prints to a printer that was offline, and you can see first one failed, and then there's 4 more waiting behind it. And this is just the benefit here of using the print queuing feature, is I can get in and see, how did this get printed? Who printed it? With what job settings? What time they printed it? If I wanted to, like for tech support, I usually ask people, hey, can you send me the printer code? You can even view the printer code here and see what's going on in the zebra label. You can even move it. So let's say your printer was offline and you had another zebra printer at your site. I can say, hey, move it over to DC printer 01. And then if that one's printing, I can say also run it, and off it'll go. So all the benefits of a print queuing system, and this is built into MarkMagic. It's not like it's tying into your Linux print queuing system or Windows print queuing system. It's all internal, accessible through this MarkMagic print queuing GUI. And there's a whole different view here, the print queue overview. And this gives you a list of printers rather than a whole just list of jobs from every printer. So this is per printer here, and I can see, oh, there's 5 jobs in this DCPR2, they're queued, and then all the different settings for the printer. And one important piece to this screen here is this is where you actually turn on print queuing. This is like the master switch, because when you install MarkMagic PI, it's defaulted to off, and if you wanted to take advantage of this, just check this box and it's on. It's basically just on or off. It's pretty simple like that. And from this menu, I can then go to the individual printers queues and get a little bit better view and see what's going on in each printer queue, and pause the queue and get the same view as before, but just for this printer.
Sorry, maybe you're going to show this. I just wanted to mention everything that Ken is showing you is obviously visual. I mean, because that's the best way we can show you guys, over a GoToWebinar. There are a full suite of APIs that do everything Ken has already talked about as far as queuing and a lot of other stuff where you don't need to look at any screens, where you can check the status of a queue and automatically switch to another printer and all that stuff. All the responses, sure. All that is built in. I don't know if you're going to show that or not, Ken.
I wasn't, but
okay.
No, there is just, every option I'm clicking here, or everything I'm saying, refresh queue or pause queue or delete this spool file or move it to something else. There's a REST API for that. So you programmers will know exactly what that is. And you'll be able to control all this print queuing, every feature and setting of it through API calls. Even creating the printers themselves and setting up the printers initially everything's done through an API in MarkMagic PI. So, awesome stuff. Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Sure.
So I have this extra screen here for you, Chuck.
Okay, so we're getting close to the end. We do have a few questions, which we'll get to in a second, and we'll just wrap things up because I was going to try to keep it to a half hour, a little bit over that. As far as 9.5, that's what we showed you, some of the new stuff. There's some other new features and functions in 9.5 that we didn't talk about today, but all that's listed on our website and in the user guide and in the version control list. That's all on the website. And the mod level that's out there now is 18.02.14, something like that. We'll probably have another mod level of 9.5 released in the next 2 or 3 months before we start working on version 10 or finishing up version 10. As far as version 10, I'd say it's about 6 or 9 months out. A few of the things that we're working on, we've discussed this a couple times before, this browser-based format designer, basically like JMagic, or we call it WebMagic here inside Cyber, but we're going to change the name of it. It's kind of like JMagic in the cloud, or just totally browser based. So you wouldn't have to install JMagic. So the tool Ken was using, pretty much during the whole demo, was installed on his PC. So we'll have a flavor of that, which is totally browser based. You can design labels from your phone if you wanted to, and all that stuff. So you don't have to install anything. So that's a big effort on our side that we're making some really good headway on. SQL variable data lookup. And also different variable data sources that could be brought in. We're working on, but just real quickly, I mean, if you have data coming from different types of files, we've handled that on the AS400 side for a really long time with our hybrid fields. We can take data from spool files and chain out to different database files. You guys can all do that, but we're going to add some more options there using SQL. We can actually look at different servers and different file servers and all that stuff and grab data all dynamically at print time. So if you have stuff scattered about within different databases, MarkMagic can just grab it all and print it all in the same label form or PDF or whatever. So that's coming on both AS400 and PI. increasing the maximum length of our constant fields. It's been stuck at 30 since the beginning of MarkMagic. It's going to be drastically increased to 350, so you can make really long fields. Print transformer, that's our rules-based and conditioned printing option, which is really neat. A lot of you folks already have that, so we're adding some more business and even Internet of Things rules to that. Like we can actually check like min and max values for inventory at print time and then do something different as far as, oh, we need to print more labels over here, or send an email alert to our inventory manager because we're low. I mean, things kind of even outside of MarkMagic. It's pretty neat. Or checking the weather where something's about to be sent, and then it's like, oh, it's going to rain there in 2 days, so write a message on the label, hey, put this in a bag or something like that. It's all coming more of that in Print Transformer. And the last thing, if you just click again, Ken, for FormWeaver, we're going to add FormWeaver. A handful of you folks have it for our e-commerce printing and PDFing. Basically, FormWeaver is an option where it allows you to mix and match multiple formats at print time, so different shipping labels and orient them differently. And that's been an option for many years. We're just going to add another interface to it. We're kind of calling it layers, where you can so you can visually create this form and put on and add the different formats to it, instead of just typing in, hey, rotate 90 degrees and 4 inches from the left. You can just visually do that. So those are just a few of the things coming. We got lots of other stuff that'll be in version 10, and probably even in 9.5 that'll make it into the next mod level. So I got a few questions which we'll answer. The rest of you folks, please, we'll get back to you afterwards if we don't get to your question. Please feel free, if you look at the bottom of Ken's screen there, sales@cyber.com, help@cyber.com. Those are great email addresses. Any questions you have about anything, feel free to leverage those. Ken, Tammy asked if she could upgrade to 9.5 from 8.6. So she must be using MarkMagic AS400, and she's using 8.6. Can she upgrade her to 9.5?
For sure, absolutely.
Yes.
You don't have to go to 9.0 or anything in between.
Okay.
And just to take it further, anyone else might be thinking of it, you can go from 7.7. That's the cutoff. So 7.7 mod level 10324. So if you're on that, you guys can go direct to version 9.5.
Okay. Very good. And I'll just make this our last question. We'll wrap things up. Phil asked, all right, so I think maybe there was a tiny bit of confusion. Can you still print the forms? Like I think I understand what he's asking. Like we were showing the URL links for PDFs and the editable text fields and all that stuff. If you put those on a format, if you're using those features for PDFing, can you still just print those normally like you would through MarkMagic on a laser printer, or it has to be a separate format, one for laser and one for PDF?
Oh no, definitely no. You can print those just fine. Those features, the URLing and the editable text fields. Well, the editable text fields, I wonder how they would print. Maybe they would just be blanks if you printed those from MarkMagic. But
yeah, they would be.
you're not going to need like a separate format for each one. No,
right.
That's kind of the whole goal with MarkMagic, is to not have to have separate formats for different things. We want you to keep everything on one. So one format you just use for PDFing or printing.
Awesome. Okay. Well, you know what, Ken? Let's leave it there. Again, I appreciate everybody's time. We did record this, so you guys will get a link if you want to share it with your friends and your family. These are always good things to look over the long weekend. You want to review the webinar again, we'll give you access to that. So anyway, thanks again. Great job, Ken, as always, and take care, everyone. Until next time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.